Right. First of all, briefly, we want to deal with the issue about FIFA. How are you reading the developments as far as FIFA is concerned? We certainly know that Sepp Blatter has been, banned. Platini also has suffered a similar, situation, and one other. And then you have Issa Hayatou taking over that entity. There's one who's described FIFA as a sinking Titanic.
Well, given the passion for soccer, I'm very doubtful that FIFA could sink. FIFA would always, in my opinion, be carried by the passion for football. But I'm happy that we are seeing this self-cleansing. Because, traditionally, football has been insulated from politics and from governments. And that seemed to have created a situation, or at least an impression of a situation within FIFA where you can't, it's not just FIFA, but the country associations, where you don't just get into them, and it is a view of many that accountability is becoming a problem. And so I hope that this self-cleansing will be deep, and I hope that it would ripple down to the various country associations. If that doesn't happen, I just can foresee going forward a situation where the public would begin to call for stripping the insulation and perhaps asking governments to enter FIFA and to fix, to enter the football associations and to fix what we're beginning to feel is the rot. But I recognize that some of the affected persons are also challenging and they are insisting they are innocent. I recognize that, but I think generally we all believe that it's about time we took a look at our own football associations, and I guess it must be the same for many countries where the insulation is creating a possible situation where people just do what they want. There's a lot of money in that industry. Of course, football is big money right now, and by and large, it's also public money. I mean, I know that it's an association, but don't let us forget that in Ghana, for instance, they use state facilities. They don't pay for it and relate to these facilities on commercial terms. But they are for the state. We assume that football is for us. It gives us joy. It brings us together and all that. So we have an interest in that. And unless this self-cleansing ends properly, time is going to come when people will be inviting government to enter football and to clean it up for us. Well, there are people who are clamoring that that should even happen now. You don't need to go through this process before. Now, Kweku, this is how the CNN begins its report on this issue. It says, it's like the end of a Shakespearean tragedy. Multiple bodies, the king, the two men who would be king, and their lieutenants strewn across the stage. Even the acting king is planning his exit. Hayatou has been given a fantastic opportunity. Some would have thought that you'd be interested in, using this opportunity to make a claim for the job. But he says, I'm not interested.
Well, that is if he himself has no problem somewhere hiding in the corner. That is it. He might maybe been a bit cautious and careful.
In 2011, he was sanctioned by the International Olympic Committee for taking cash payment from a sports marketing firm.
Yes, so he has to be very careful, not stretching his ambitions beyond a certain limit. See, I'm not sure, I don't know much, whether there is a relationship between what the Ethics Committee has done and the earlier criminal inquiries that were being conducted the U.S. and elsewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe those who know
U.S.
football.
and the U.S. Attorney General and the Swiss.
Yes, I'm not sure. General. Maybe there is. I don't know. I haven't educated myself on that. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's a certain connection. And the Ethics Committee has exercised its jurisdiction. I'm sure it doesn't violate the FIFA statutes. So let's wait and see how things unfold. Clearly, the aura surrounding FIFA is being demystified progressively, gradually, and surely. But I am still very, very careful in proceeding to the level of asking for governmental interventions, particularly in the third world sector, where institutions are weak. And yes, accountability institutions are also weak. You know, look, government interfering in football administration under the pretext of probing corruption or bribery or other things, we should be very careful about it. There are other institutions that may be encouraged to do so if the law allows them. But as for governments, I'm very, very, very hesitant in endorsing that kind of thing. They are worse. Governments are worse when it comes to these things. And if you allow them to get involved in this, look, they will collapse football. They will destroy it. It is not for nothing that some of us were of the opinion that governmental interference, and I mean it, interference in football administration should not be encouraged. You see, when there are challenges, we think, oh, let government come in. How
do you get to deal decisively and comprehensively with the perceived deep rots within the system?
The accountability institutions are measured. The GFA, for instance, in this country, is his accounts not audited by the Auditor General? Haven't they appeared before the Public Accounts Committee before?
But it's also taking the US AG the Swiss AG's action to get Sepp Blatter to initially step down and all of these things.
I scale down to our jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction, and the kind of balance that we have here, the culture as well as the balance of forces and the strength or weaknesses of our institutions. And we are looking at the all-powerful government and giving it a blank check to interfere in football administration. And I'm telling you, we will create a worse scenario. That's the point I'm making.
Right.
So I'm saying that, yes, for instance, we are a specific focus on our federation. Its accounts are audited by the Auditor General. Those accounts are presented to its Congress. If there is any evidence of corruption, bribery, or lack of accountability, the law is there. There is no law that says those things cannot be checked. In any case, as I said, they've appeared before the Public Accounts Committee before. Two, the Presidential Commission that we set up, was the GFA there or not?
It was there.
If you recall, Yoko tried certain things. Did it happen or it didn't happen? Didn't it also end up in court?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so we shouldn't create the impression as if that this GFA has been so globally insulated to the extent that had never been any attempt to go in there. We have. If you have blatant evidence of corruption, I don't see how anybody can be protected.
Interesting.
It's like these judges.
Interesting. We'll get to the judges right away.
I think the point that we also ought to remember that the way governments relate to football, it's not clear in my opinion. On the one hand, we say football is an association and it should not be easy for the state to enter it the way the state is able to enter other areas of national life. And yet there are many areas where football benefits from resources under control of government.
The money is given to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. The accountants accompany the Football Association. They disperse the monies, they give receipts and things. So indeed, there's still the opportunity for the state to ensure.
Exactly, that's the point I'm making.
Yeah, but the state. Yes, and the GFA presents its account, which is audited by the Auditor General.
That's right.
Okay, so there's still a lot of room for us to checkmate corruption and bribery and misuse of the funds.
Well, this debate certainly will continue, and people are very passionate about this. You know, there are millions of lovers of this game all over the world, and here in Ghana, there are many of them who have actually suffered the accusation of abandoning their own local games and just following other, European teams instead. Well, I know which team Koko supports. I don't know which team Mr. Kwati supports though.
Ash Gold.
Oh, Ash Gold. Okay, that's interesting.
Outside, I have Real Madrid and Man U.
Okay, very interesting. And